Hello, everybody. Welcome to another My Music. I'm feeling good today. When we're recording this, it's the start of a new week, which is great, and and the weather looks like it's going to be fantastic this week, which is superb. Here in the UK, we're set to have a bit of a heat wave. Thala, my guest today, where are you?
I am currently in Berlin, and I'm looking out the window, and it's great.
It's great.
But
Oh,
yesterday we had oh my God, I think we had 29 degrees, on the day before 28. So maybe you're getting that now.
we're going to get it now. We are going to get it now. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to standing on the pitch at Wembley Stadium later this week and getting sunburnt. Don't mind, because it's going to be a fantastic. Anything at Wembley is a fantastic day. I'm going to be talking to Thala about her life in music straight after this.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Folks, you won't hear it, but because I will have edited it out. But I just made a mistake. And you know why? Because when you've got the kind of dyslexic brain that I have, if you say something, if you have a conversation about something, you're more likely to do it. Idiot. There we go. But you won't know what it is that I'm talking about because I will have edited it out by the time this goes live. You see, so there we go. Thala, how are you? How have you been? What have you been up to recently?
I think honestly, I love being honest in these things, and I think it's important that the music industry is and that artists are. Many of us do not have a lot of money. Many of us have to struggle to stay afloat, and I'm one of those, and I've been working since I was 15, 16, so I'm no stranger to it, and then started making music 5 years ago. So I knew what I was getting myself into, and I have no problem with running on $50 for 2 weeks. I can make it work because I'm just very good at existing and surviving.
Life's like an avalanche then.
What?
Life is like an avalanche then.
Yeah, nice. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess I dropped the album on Valentine's Day, which was a fun day to drop it because it has nothing to do.
It's got a real Valentine's feel to it as an album, obviously. Why did you drop it on Valentine's Day? Was there a particular reason for it?
Yeah, I think we were me and the team I had back then, we were all seated at a table, and I think someone said, "Oh, but we can't do it on Valentine's Day." And then we all looked at each other. We were like,
"Yeah, we can.
Yeah, maybe we can, and maybe we should, because it's because everyone's gonna release love songs and but there's a lot of people who don't have anybody else, and they're on their own. And I didn't mean to obviously rub it in. That's not why I did it. But I was just maybe it's the time for self-reflection and for understanding maybe why certain things haven't worked out, because it's not always the other person, it's always ourselves as well. I think there's always two sides to the medal, and it doesn't mean that one person is the perpetrator and is the bad person, the mean person. If we take it, we're just as toxic in a way, because we can't really step away from it, and that's a lesson that we have to learn as humans, I think.
That's fair. No, that's fair. It's quite an interesting point that you all sat there and you felt that as well. Do you feel like there's too much kind of, with all of these days that we have days for everything these days, don't we? I mean, I work in social media. People send you calendars of oh, it's this day, it's that day, it's that day. Oh, you might want to put a post out this today because it's this, and you think, really? Do we have to have special days for everything? I just feel like there's an awful lot of surface level stuff that goes on in the world these days, and without actually dealing with anything properly. Do you, was that part of it as well? Do you kind of feel like that?
I think Avalanche, obviously the first one was Adolescence, and yes, it's a reason that it all starts with an A. There's thought behind it. I think the first one was Adolescence, right? Like to be in that area of life, and then moving forward, going through your 20s, and then becoming an entirely different person in a way, because you learn so much about yourself, you learn so much about what it is to be a human, you know, what it is to be an adult. And sometimes I still don't feel like an adult, and I'm like almost 32, and I still sometimes don't feel like an adult. But yeah, I think it's about relationships. It's about accepting when we're being treated badly, because we don't want to give up on the fantasy of, you know, happiness. But then becoming stronger because you're pushing through it and you're letting go of the bad stuff. And then you turn into an even stronger version of yourself because you learn. And I think this is one of the most important lessons I've ever learned in my life, is to set boundaries. And that is with your family, that is with your friends, that is with your partner, that is with your colleagues, this is with your management, your label, your team, everybody. And it's very funny that the people that can't accept boundaries turn out to be the ones that you really don't want to have in your life, because that means that they don't equally respect you as much.
Yeah.
And
why do you think people break boundaries, or why do you think people allow boundaries to be broken? Because I think that's a very interesting area.
That's self-worth, I think. And I think that stems from I'm really interested in psychology. I think there's a lot that music can trigger in our brains, where we're like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way, you know. And I think a lot of artists have a lot of trauma. That's why we write. And that's why I think unfortunately, I'm laughing, but it's actually sad. But the more trauma we've experienced, probably the better writers we are, because we can really feel that stuff, because we've felt it before. And so we know how to, you know, maybe we've processed this, we've gone through the pain, and like the periods of resentment, and then the periods of understanding, and then you enter peace, because you're just kind of like, I don't have to like everybody, not everybody has to like me. And if I say I don't like that, and then you tell me, well, I don't care, I'm like, well, then I can just decide to not have you in my life.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Well, it's actually quite interesting. In sort of modern times, we've actually had quite a lot of dialogue in the press, or narrative in the press, about modern artists overstepping boundaries in music, which I don't think we've had that in the past before. I mean, I don't think anybody necessarily came out, you know, fighting when like Tina Turner started writing songs about Ike, right? And yet, you know, if Taylor Swift writes a song about Matt Healy or whatever, and quotes, you know, things that he might have said, you know, it's suddenly like, oh, you're kind of overstepping the boundaries of personal relationships coming into songs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And I think, you know, it's pretty clear as day that it's only when women do it. We still live in that. We still live in that life, in that world, where when women do it, we're like, oh, Chaperone said, "Don't take a photo of me." How dare you? How dare you not be?
Still a misogynistic narrative playing out.
Because Kurt Cobain that said, "I don't like the system," and I love him. Hey, I love him, but people were like, "Yeah," you know. And when Charlie XCX, or Chappell Rowan, or whoever, these strong, powerful women, or then even Sabrina Carpenter as well, you know, you can like her look or you don't, but like her music speaks for itself. The things she writes about, you know, and Taylor Swift as well. She's a queen, you know, and I think she's written about every man she's ever dated, and I salute that. Like, yeah, if you're gonna treat a woman like, and she's a writer,
you're gonna get it.
You're screwed. You're screwed, honestly. But men have been doing it forever.
Yeah, right.
Men have been doing it forever. They've been like, I'm sitting here drinking my beer. Oh, she left me. Ha ha ha. Poor me. You know, like they've been doing it forever. They've been doing it forever, but in a different way. And I think now society is so shook by the fact that women don't say, you hurt me, please don't do it again. But they say, screw you, get out of my life, I deserve better. And I think this is like a whole awakening of women and female artists. Wet Leg, oh my God. Oh, and even their first record, like it's so insane. And then the new stuff as well, like it's so great. And I think they're like the British Bikini Kill or making their way there,
Yeah, no, definitely.
So good, so direct, and it's so funny because so many men don't understand the music. They're like, what is that? I'm like, read the lyrics. Just read them. You'll understand,
Do they want to read the lyrics?
That's the thing. Very often they don't, right? Because I think they have a feeling this is going to go against men. But then again, it's this whole thing of like when a woman says, I hate men, the men that are not included know they're not included.
Exactly. If you're, it's like anything around sort of equality and diversity.
Yeah, and my partner knows as well. My partner hates men. my man.
Yeah.
When I say, oh, I hate men, he's like, oh, me too, because he knows he's not included. And then obviously when we say that, we mean we hate the patriarchy. That's what we hate, because it's also doing stuff to men that they're like, oh, she can't say that. Oh my God, she can't write about that. Oh, how dare she? But yet again, they've been doing it all this time. Or then, I don't know, all the rappers, the female rappers that say the words, and then are like, it's so obscene when women write lyrics like that. I'm like, excuse me, have you listened to 50 Cent? Have you listened to any of those rappers? Like, huh?
Yeah.
So I'm just laughing because I just think it's ridiculous, because I think men feel threatened by outspoken women. And it's my partner tells me this too. He says like, you're one of the strongest women. You're the strongest woman that I know.
We can't have artists like Ashiko coming out there saying the things that she does. It's terrible.
No, right? Oh my God. Opinionated women? Oh, hell no. Intelligent women, emotionally intelligent women? No. Let's let the world be run by non-emotional. Not at all emotional.
So at the bottom of your avalanche, you've got a whole load of misogynistic, egotistical men.
And also how I fell into that. Yeah, because, the patriarchy shaped me too. When I was 15 and I went to school and there was a girl and her pants were kind of lower, like at the waist. And then you saw a thong or something. And there was another girl and said, oh, she looks like a slut. Yeah. I was like, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Because I didn't, we were so, even in movies, the dumb girl, like the second woman is always the dumb, blonde, rich, whatever, like, oh, kind of young, has no opinion. Like we were always portrayed that way, unless you were, a mother and you had children, and then you were respected in society. So it's like, I am not surprised with this, like, male loneliness epidemic and all of that stuff. I'm like, oh, it was just waiting around the corner all this time. And I think, and Lorde, her new music, where she even said Charlie XCX helped her get out of this other type of songwriting and made her become like more direct and more to the point. The song that she did with Charlie XCX, it's so good. And she basically tells the media and the music industry to fuck off. And I love it.
It's great.
And women didn't do that 20 years ago. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we didn't.
Well, I think they might have been trying.
They might have been trying, but
the industry stopped it getting out there.
Yeah, it was underground. I think there was a lot of punk rock. There was a lot of underground, even in the 80s, 90s. But underground, like it never made major. It was Christina Aguilera, it was Britney Spears, it was Avril Lavigne. It was all of these that made the mainstream, but they were controllable because not that they weren't strong enough. I see interviews sometimes and I'm like, oh, they tried so hard to make them stop talking about their boobs. They tried so hard and they just wouldn't do it.
I guess to a certain extent, the industry, I mean, and there's been a lot of musicians talk about this.
Mm.
Even on the male side of things, there's been a lot of musicians talk about the fact that bands aren't necessarily the same as they were. I don't agree with that. I think
I think
actually,
there's a revival right now. I think there's
I think so.
hmm
But the industry has always tried to control the mouthpiece.
Yeah,
Always tried to control the
have.
mouthpiece.
they
I've
have.
always loved artists that have said "suck it" to the industry.
That's why Chapel Roan is freaking amazing, and the fact that the woman wins Grammys and she speaks up for other oppressed artists and like smaller artists during her Grammy speech and literally says, I put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to donate money to this organization. And then other artists speak up as well who are like done,
Yeah.
you know. And I guess
because I think that's the difference that we're seeing coming through now, which is that mainstream is now talking about it, and I think it's partly because of the position that the industry's in, and also because of the way that everything within the industry works now. I mean, artists have ultimately had to take control of their own creative process, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was very different. You go back to a time when record companies were still throwing, and that's not that long ago in the great history of things, but when record companies were still throwing real good money at artists because of CD sales and record sales and making decent money out of tours and whatever. Now, you're lucky if you do a tour, if you don't lose lots of money. You're only going to make money out of music sales if you're controlling it, not if somebody else is controlling it. So, we could talk about this forever and a day, but is there even an industry these days? I mean, that industry has warped into something completely different anyway. It's an industry that's wrapped up in, side advertising and sponsorship for this, that, and the other, isn't it? And kind of product placement.
And they want you to write music for TikTok these days, That's like very often what it is at this point, but I refuse. I think you can write music and it'll work on TikTok, but I'm never gonna go into a studio and be like, I want to write a 1.5 minute song for TikTok.
Yeah. They just want you to go into a studio and write 20 seconds of pure,
And then where's the art? I mean, yes, you can come up with a really great hook in 20 seconds for sure.
Yeah.
But like,
well, yeah, Postman Pat, there's a great example, right? I mean, I'd say that kind of jokingly, but I'm not. Right, kids TV show themes, brilliant. Have all generally got really good hooks because they're aimed at sort of.
And we still remember them, and that's how they're good.
And we know that they're good, right?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for Charlie XCX to actually sample Postman Pat. But I mean, she fucking would make it happen to be fair.
And she would make it sound amazing and everybody would know it.
No one would be able to watch Postman Pat again with the same, because
or maybe Bob the Builder. Yeah.
Mind you, that did chart at one point, didn't it?
It did, I think, yeah.
It absolutely. But yeah, getting away from that, as you say, if you want to write what you want to write and not write to a platform, you know that you're going to struggle on that platform, right? I mean, I run a social media business, and one of the conversations that I have with clients right from the start is that you say, well, when you're looking at what you want to achieve here, if you're starting to look at like going viral, the first thing that you need to understand is you have to completely lose control.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you, especially on certain platforms, if you want to go viral on certain platforms, you're not you're not creating what you want to create. You're creating what the audience wants you to create.
Yeah.
Right? That's very different.
Yeah.
you know. So suddenly that element of I'm in control of this, and I want to put my unique voice out. And no one cares about your unique voice.
Mm.
To go viral on any platform, you have to create what everybody is already liking, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a wave, and you're jumping on that wave to get the biggest response from it.
Mm.
But that doesn't. But there is another way, and I mean that's why I called my
And it works.
company. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's why I called what I do a better way of life, right? Because there is a different way of doing it, and I mean, things like this, we got this to being in the sort of top 20% of content consumed on Spotify. How? Just by doing it well and hard work, right?
Yeah.
Just by building it slowly, building it, properly with people. And there's room for that. There is still room for that. But the world is telling artists and creators all of the time, just do it quick. Do it quick.
Yeah.
Must be frustrating as an artist.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And I think I took a very long time to be okay with posting reels. A very long time. But at this point, I'm just like, go. It's fine. Out here. You only want 7 seconds this time? Cool. Let's do it. 7 seconds. Not even a line of a song that I wrote. But hey, whatever. Whatever floats the boat of the Instagram and the TikTok. Because I don't care anymore. And the funny thing is, the shorter they are, and it's so frustrating. But even if I post an 8-second reel and I go into the insights, because I am my own social media manager, it says the average watch time is between 5 and 6 seconds. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You can't even finish 8 seconds?
No.
How short do you want it to be? Like 3?
It's when you look at those little graphs that
One
you get.
word. What?
Yeah, when you look at the little graphs that you get from like the software back now, and you see like it goes, whoa, oh.
And then any video that is longer, well, unless you have a huge following already, because then you create the engagement for the people that follow you.
Yeah.
But you create so people engage that already follow you. That's what I want to say. But then there is creating content so new followers see you and are like, yeah, I want to follow that. And it's on one side, it makes me really happy because when I do post and regularly, if I say now on the weekend, I haven't, today I will probably, because the weekend people are out. Like it's very rarely that they're on their phones, I've realized. But from Monday to Friday, every night I do it because I then catch US time.
Yep.
I catch UK time and Europe, so at least I have those 3 major together, and then it works. It's 7 seconds, and I've been doing it for 2 weeks now again, and it's like landed me another 20 people. But then the next day I look, and then it's 20 less, and I'm like, huh? I don't really understand it.
Well, you go up 20 and then you go down 20. Yeah, there's all sorts of nonsense with that. Some is like accounts get deactivated, they're not real accounts, and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah. But no, I'm like, I'm in it for the music, and if this is something I gotta do, honestly, a 5-second video, put in a CapCut, write a caption. I'd ask ChatGPT, yo, what would you use for this video? Because I'm just the artist, okay? I'm not a social media manager. And then it says, well, do you want dark, gloomy, thoughtful? And I'm like, yeah, something like that. And then it's like, while you just found the soundtrack to your life, whatever.
Yeah. You want like, dark, gloomy, thoughtful? No, actually, I want like lots of people to watch it, please. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. I'm gonna save that one for later. Oh yeah, cool. Well, boom, 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 goes into CapCut, download the video, load it up to TikTok, takes me 2 minutes. Then I upload it on Instagram, takes me another 2 minutes because I've gotten really fast at it. And also, then I leave it there. I check back because I heard that you have to stay on the apps because the apps want to recognize that you actually use them, which is so annoying because I don't want to use them. And I know you can hear me, phone. I know you can hear everything I say. I don't want to use you. I prefer not to. But I just do it. And sometimes the videos have gone really well. One, I think, of me dressed up as Wonder Woman, 6 seconds, and I put my song under there. Got me almost 10,000 views in like a week.
Nice.
But you see, like,
We have to play the game. We have
we
to
have to
play the game. We
gotta
have to
play
play
the
the game. But the beautiful thing is, if you're producing something that's of worth,
it'll be
It's-
recognized.
it's recognized. And it's when people
Never
go,
got
"Do
a
you-"
hate comment ever,
No.
not one.
It's when people find you through that 7 seconds or whatever,
Yeah,
but then bother to find the whole thing and then really deep dive into the whole thing and then give it another listen and another listen and then
Yeah.
come back and go, that now is it's an essential part of my life, and I can't, and now I'm going to tell people that, and that's
Yeah.
what you're looking for.
yeah.
That-
I have that, I have a lot of people, at least a couple times a month that message me and go like, your album is like one of my favorite albums of all time, and I went through a breakup and it helped me, discover my self-worth and stuff like that.
makes your whole life worthwhile, right?
Yes, it does. Every message, every time I get a message like that,
Yep.
it's insane. It's insane, and I answer them too, and I'm like, oh my god, thank you. You have no idea what this means. While I'm like eating my food, during a break at work, and I'm sitting here between these like costumes and coats and everything, and I'm just eating my food, and I'm like, you have no idea what this means right now. I needed this. I needed that. Yeah, because that's also feeding, and we all have an ego. We want to say
Yep.
that we don't, but we do, and it's feeding the ego because you're like, oh, someone actually listens to it. Oh my God. And it actually does something to them. They really like it and love it. And it's like inspired them, and I've had people that messaged me and told me that they started making music because of me as well. And like, that is so insane.
Well, it's not understandable. I mean, I totally understand that, but it's beautiful at the same time.
And important for me because I'm like, of course I doubt myself. Oh my God, we all do it. So in the moments where I really doubt it, and then I get a message, it's like, it's like the heavens are speaking and they're like, hey, don't forget, you do make music and the music is good and people realize it. It's not your fault that you don't have $500,000 of a budget to like, let you go viral on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, because I do know that a lot of it is achieved with money, because I know a lot of people are signed to a certain distributor that I'm not going to name, but and I know the people who are signed to these distributors and to these labels that have a lot of money to put in.
Hey, but I love it when I prove them wrong.
Yes, 1,000,000%.
Okay.
Oh.
So good. I mean, when I first started doing this, like I spoke to a lot of the PR companies, and I said, one of the places I'm going to put this out is LinkedIn, and they went, that's a business platform. And I went, yeah, I know. Last week, I don't know whether you saw it, but last week I put out a couple of stories where I showed that one of the interviews that I've done recently with a great band called Plastic Rhino, right? We were up to 100,000 views on LinkedIn.
Hell
right?
yeah.
The PR companies are like, don't get it, but that shouldn't happen. And it's like, but it does, right?
And the fact that it does in a world where it shouldn't is what makes people go like, huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then when you start talking to them about it and you go, tell me something. Okay, do you know what the demographic is of LinkedIn? And they go, no. I go, well, check it out. 35 to 55-year-olds, they're the ones that have got this. Those are the ones that are actually going to concerts. Those are the ones that are actually buying T-shirts and CDs and records and whatever.
They have the moolah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be stupid. Look,
And then very often they're the people in the music industry too.
Yeah. Also, they're all boring business people. Well, they're not. They're business people trapped in suits who actually want to hear something that cheers them up in the day, rather than just things about Excel spreadsheets. So actually you've got a better captive audience, because the noise that you're going against there isn't just like another million musicians going, oh, latest single. It's a load of, people going, HR problems. No, I'm going to listen to Thala and her single. Marvelous. It does,
Yeah.
it works, but it's brilliant. And I like to keep these things as a little known secret, because, let the rest of them go, we've got to make it on TikTok. No, you don't have to make it on TikTok. You can make it wherever you can make it.
Yeah.
It's
And
important.
I think very often, like when you speak to, I don't know, Phoebe Bridgers back then, right? There was not a TikTok. And TikTok was already existent. The thing with her was, and obviously it was a planned strategy, right? But they just got her on every night show possible. And since she's an incredible live performer, those were like breathtakingly beautifully executed performances that you will never forget. I think she did one in the space costume, in the astronaut's costume, with Bon Iver's violin player. No one's ever going to forget that. That was Jimmy Fallon, like no
That
one
was first album, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
I think
It was
so,
a while
yeah.
ago now. Yeah. And then they got her on the biggest festivals. They got her to Coachella, and I think that is like, that was that strategy. So there was a life strategy. And I think it depends, like it doesn't have to be one way or the other. If then you're already big enough and you're like, I'm gonna do a TikTok, and then you already know that people will be like, oh my God, it's her. And then that will work. But to mindlessly, like a drone, kind of put out content every day, I know that is a strategy that people think is going to work. And maybe for some people it does. I'm not saying it's not. But in a sea of so many indie musicians, like honestly, it feels very defeating. And then especially when you know that a lot of people do have either very rich parents, so they can drive it against the wall. Doesn't matter. It's only their parents' money, And I don't say that to judge. I'm just calling the facts, because it is a fact.
Oh, it's a lot easier to do this if this is all you have to do, because
Exactly.
someone else is
And
picking
try
up the
doing
check.
it while you work 50 hours a week, and like while you leave the house at 8 a.m. and you come home at 7 or 8 p.m. at night and you're just destroyed. And then there's things as like buying groceries, doing laundry, cleaning your flat, because no, I don't have a cleaner, so it's like it's insane. But I will like say that a lot of artists are recognizing that, and they're like, well, damn, like I've had it good, like I've never had a financial struggle in my life because I have famous parents, or I have rich parents, or whatever. Doesn't mean they're less talented. It's not what I want to say. Gracie Abrams is amazing, but is her dad one of the biggest directors in the world? Yes.
Well, I think what is happening now, which is quite nice, is that I think a lot of artists are trying to give a leg up to artists that they respect. And I think ultimately that's why what it really comes down to is, if somebody's art is brilliant, right, then it can happen for you, because if somebody, I mean, if tomorrow Phoebe Bridgers says, Thala, I love what you're doing, I just want to give you a stage, then there you go.
Yeah.
And that can happen these days, because if you are because everybody can get heard.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing. Back in the day when we all used to like go around record companies with our little cassette tapes, right? Getting heard was real hard. We didn't have this thing called the internet that got could get it out there. So it's swings and roundabouts. Now listen, I want to know. So you've got 2 A's so far.
Yeah.
Do you know what the third A is? Do you know what
I don't know, but I think it's gonna, and I also don't know if I'm gonna make a record, because I'm just gonna be completely blunt and honest. I don't have money to make one. There are people out there that I know want to work with me, and I think there's probably ways of arranging, certain things. But I can't really go anywhere because I'm working full time, so I can't really do anything right now. There is a whole folder full of demos that I've written last year in London and in LA, which would probably make a record. But what's next up is definitely a bit more, even a bit more feminine rage.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Bit harder guitars, a bit more feminine rage. And I think also society rage.
Well, we need a bit of that at the moment, don't we?
Oh my God, we do. But you know,
Yeah,
it's
we really do.
good when you look at social media and 11 million are protesting while he's walking and there's literally no people and no one's like, we no. It's just 11 million people across the US like, no. And then on his parade there's no one there. Which speaks for itself, you know. So
Yeah, but it's scary times. It's
honestly,
scary.
yes, it's very scary. I think it's like at this point, I'm having conversations with my working colleagues like, what if we don't make it home today? You know, like, what if someone decides to push a button and then you have 72 hours to go somewhere, but you probably won't make it? The chances are very low. And it's crazy because 20 years ago, we didn't have that conversation, right? But then
Yeah.
the next thing we talk about, oh my God, I love your shoes though, because you're just so in it's surreal. You have to go to work and you have to live and you have to buy groceries. You can't just pause your life because you're scared, right? But yeah, no, it's definitely scary. It's scary times. And I think that's also another thing. When then I post a story of me lip syncing my song while all that other stuff is going on. And then I look at that and I'm like, oh, this is so insignificant. But then another part of me is like, right, but you know, after every war, the stuff that stuck out to people, or you know, that like stayed around was art. It's always been music and art.
Yeah.
And we still have art hanging in museums that was made of 200, 300 years ago, right? And
I think what you've got to remember whenever you're doing that, and whenever you're looking back at those little snippets, and you think, "Oh, this is my this is my 5 seconds of whatever today," is that you know that the actual art that is trying to get people's attention to is very worthwhile.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think I know that deep down. I know that deep down.
That's the bit. That's the bit you have to hold on to, which is that, you know, I say this every single day. I say, look, you know, I'm playing we all have to do it on social media. There's bits that I post which are literally clickbait. They're there as part of the game or whatever. But if they widen the audience so that actually then somebody from that audience then hits the good stuff, and the good stuff resonates with them and it sticks, it was worthwhile.
And it can be one video, and I know that, you know, my friends always tell me that too, like, you just have to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. It's just one moment and then it can change everything.
Yeah.
But
it's exhausting, right?
Yes, it's exhausting when you work 50 hours. Then it's very exhausting because you're two people.
Folks, if you listen off the back end of this today to Thala's music and you enjoy it, just pop round with some groceries. Just
yes. Honestly, yes.
Yes.
I wouldn't say no.
Do you know what? It's like people go, you know, stream this, do that, whatever. Do all of that as well, but just literally pop round with some groceries. Go, look, do you know what I mean? I've bought too much here today. I've got some
cool.
You know, I've got a spare lettuce and a bit of this and a bit of that and whatever.
I wouldn't mind pickles. Pickles are always great.
Pickles, just drop them at Thala's house, and you know, or when you see her out and about somewhere or whatever, say, can I get you a coffee or whatever? Because it honestly, that sort of stuff really makes a difference, right? It honestly makes a difference.
Yep.
You know, those little things.
Yep.
I saw an artist over the weekend on TikTok, and they actually, not on TikTok, on Instagram, and they published something like that. They were out doing something. I think they were busking and whatever, and someone literally just brought them up a burger and a coffee and whatever. And they were just so grateful.
Oh, I believe that. That's how I started.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. I had someone give me a lollipop once. That was cute.
a lollipop. Oh, what, like are you talking like that sort of lolly, not an ice lolly? No.
Oh yeah, you call them ice lolly.
Ice lollies. Yes.
We don't say that. No, lollipop. Just like the song, like lollipop, lollipop. No, 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 no. Yeah. A little girl. Yeah, she stood there with her mom and she watched me sing. When I was like 2019, 2012, maybe. No, must have been 2019 because 2020 the world changed. So, and she just her mom gave me like €1, and then she came up to me and she was like, gave me her lollipop, and then I was like, ah, that's cute. Yeah. So
now, listen, before you go, we need to tell people that if they head over to your Linktree, which you've got off the top of your Instagram, etc.
Yes.
There are multitudes of ways in which they can support you, including places like Bandcamp, which is a fantastic site, where you can go. You can. Are there still versions of the white LP available?
Possible. Yes, maybe. I would need to check.
It looks as though they are. According to the website,
they are, yeah.
So if you'd like a copy of Avalanche, do get on there and spend your money, or just do the buy digital album. I know it seems kind of a weird thing to do these days when people go, but I can stream it. Yes, but you're not actually then supporting the artist particularly.
Nope.
There's a big difference between sort of putting 7 or 8 quid in their pocket and putting 0.2 of a pence in someone's pocket. Just put it that way. And it goes a lot further. Trust me, when you actually give some proper money. So do that, folks.
Yes.
Thala, thank you so much for coming on, putting the world to right. You'll notice that we don't play any music on this show, and again, a lot of people, the companies, PR companies, and whatever, went, "Oh, don't you play the music?" And I was like, "No," and this works even more, because actually, what we find is that by people hearing the proper stories of people and getting to know people properly, they then go and investigate their music more.
Yeah, because I think it's like, I think people love the real person behind the artist. Not to say that I don't feel as an artist all the time, because I do, but I'm also a person, and I go buy groceries and I get my pickles if they're discounted, and like I think that's so important, because all of us are that too. And then if that resonates, right, if my political and my feminist opinion resonates with someone else, and then, oh yeah, funny, I like pickles too, let's see what kind of so I get that 1,000,000%. Like, if someone's just a mask and there's no person behind it, I'm not that interested. And the art might be amazing, but I don't know if I would be that interested.
Do you know what, folks? If enough of you go and buy Thala some groceries, the next album might be called Avocados or Artichokes.
Ooh, I like both these.
Although I do feel like art would be a great one as well.
Yeah, that's also really cool.
That's quite all-encompassing, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Thala, thank you so much for joining me. This is wonderful, Thala. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please do go and share with your friends and family to help the conversation move along through the algorithms and to hit more people. And we will be back soon with more of my music. But until then, from Thala and me, bye for now.